Prosperous partnership, the three essentials for love and money. So if you and your beloved are not on the same page when it comes to your financial strategies, decisions, and experiences, it's painful. Likely what happens is you lose energy and forward movement just in your individual and collective lives. There can be a sense of conflict, which drains a lot of energy and joy. And likely you're not as financially effective in terms of making and keeping money, saving and investing money, and also sort of doing what you're here to do. So I think many of you know that in North America, the reasons for divorce, money issues and money troubles are way up there in terms of one of the reasons. And that when it comes to couples in conflict and fighting, money is an issue that many people have conflict over. So I'm going to share with you 3 essential ideas for jumpstarting a more aligned, prosperous, satisfying experience of love and money for you right now. I'm Karen Russo, and I'm the author of The Money Keys, the creator of the Lead Your Money coaching experiences. And for the last 15 years, I've been deeply committed to helping growth-oriented, positive, spiritually excited, financially assertive people just like you who want to grow their businesses and deepen their relationships, who want to make a contribution to the world, do it with a sense of purpose, and be financially healthy and vital. So I absolutely know that is possible. You can learn more about me and see more messages like this at themoneykeys.com. So let's get started. The first big idea around love and money is the idea of shared values. Shared values. So when I say values, I mean what are the principles or ideas, what are the fundamental beliefs that you have about why money is in your life, what it means, and what's worthy. And if your values are off, it's interesting, if you both have values and you're not living up to them, there can be a sense of conflict. If you have different values and you don't know it or you don't appreciate each other's, there can be judgment and there can be avoiding money. And it leads to confusion and upset, and sometimes small things that become big fights are really about a lack of alignment among our values. So I want you to start here. What's important to you? What's worth it? What's the most important things in your life? Health, family, legacy, contribution, work, experience, discovery. What's really important? I'll tell a story of a wonderful couple that I worked with, Juliet and Mary, both spiritually inspired people, spiritual counselors, ministers, and they met later in life where they both had previous marriages and businesses and financial experiences. And when they were coming together to build a partnership, Mary's in California with a condo at a time when prices had gone up and gone down. Juliet's living in the UK, striking out, leaving a professional position and building a healing practice. So they were in very different circumstances and had a deep love for each other. But they had to really heal this sense of what are our past beliefs and which are the ones that are limiting us, and then what do we want to create together? So because they had such a desire to know and understand, when they sat down to do the wealth visioning process together, they were able to come, and this is my encouragement for you, you and your partner, what's really important to us? What's really important? And for Mary and Juliet, it was a shared sense of spiritual insight and experience. They really valued the qualities of creativity and freedom. And they also had to acknowledge that they needed to do some healing work. So Mary had to let go of her tentativeness and fear, and more, she was more of a kind of a, like someone who would save and not spend. Juliet, and so what Mary needed to do is she needed to be more courageous about possibly doing a short sale on the condo and considering other options for letting go of that. Juliet, on the other hand, who was more of a free spirit spender, who was happy to use credit to fund new ideas, what she had to learn is the necessity of having some kind of foundational channel of income to support day-to-day operations now while building something creative. So while they were in different places, what they both valued, freedom and creativity. And so with that as a shared value, Irvin Joyce Murphy says, when the vision is clear, the decisions are easy. When creativity and freedom are our shared values, then we can make decisions. What should happen with Mary's condo? Should Juliet get an additional position to bring some income in? And if they're going to bring their two individual financial lives together, what's it going to look like to serve creativity and freedom and to fund them both? So that's my first encouragement. What are your values? To what extent are they shared? And then the tip is, if you want to find where our values come together, keep rising high enough. So some will say, I really value savings. And another person will say, I think you got to spend it now. But if you go high enough up, it's like, what are you spending it on? Well, I'm spending it on love and health and well-being. And why are you saving? Well, I'm saving for love and health and well-being. Sometimes you got to just, like, what are you doing it for will help you find a shared sense of value. When you've got that, there's a respect, there's an alignment, there's a connection, and that's important. The second important essential for love and money with your partnership is goals. It's really helpful to know what exactly you want to do with your money and to have goals that are what I would almost call seasonal. So that's one of the insights from all the coaching work that I do, especially with entrepreneurs, is that money is more seasonal than we realize, is that our goals they aren't the same for our entire lives. So one of the myths about financial well-being is it's kind of like set it and forget it. The idea that you're going to start working at 25 for one company that's going to solidly be there and your salary will go up over time. And then at 65, you'll leave that company. Like, nobody lives like that. So your goals, which include financial goals in terms of the revenue that comes in and the expenses that go out, that's called income statement. And then your goals for saving and investing for the assets that you own and how they grow, that's called balance sheet. For your partnership, what are your goals? And for most people, it's really helpful to determine, like, are we looking to just build assets for future stability? Are we looking for high enough income now to live the way we want to live? Are we looking for money to fund the charities and causes we believe in? Like, what are the amounts and what are the specific purposes of the money that you're bringing in? For many people, getting to break even and profitable, to make and keep more than you spend, is not a trivial goal. So that's why it's really helpful to know, what is coming in and what is going out, both for kind of the two individuals, if you both have jobs or businesses, for the individuals and for the partnership. And for many people in today's world, it's really important to say, do we need another channel of income to come in so that we have more stability? Do we need to create a stronger foundation? And if what you need to do is to reduce expenses, the tip I always get, especially for couples, is to look at the big, more or less fixed expenses. Where are we living? What kinds of choices are we making in terms of traveling and vacations at a kind of a big level? Who's doing what kind of work? those kinds of decisions are often the ones where if you make a big change, you get a big result. It's pretty rare that people skimp their way to a lot of wealth. So, getting a small instead of a grande is unlikely to really lead to a whole lot of prosperity. So really look at, when it comes to the sustainable income statement of our lives, how can we make and keep more? And then what are the things we can do to reduce expenses? Like, it's better to do something creative and smart about renegotiating student loan debt, or, shifting where you live. Like, it's better to do something big and complicated that has a long-term, bigger effect than to try to do it with tiny little bits. And then, it is really important when it comes to your goals to have time frames and limits for the goals that you have. So I married late in life, and the big fella, Bill, had a wonderful, solid, ongoing career. And when he retired about 2.5 years ago, probably almost a year or so before he retired, we decided we were going to move from one side of the big Phoenix Valley, and we wanted to move more to where the action is. And we visioned for the place that we wanted. And we had this wonderful range of what we thought the price would be. And then we had a number for the mortgage payment. And it was really good to have those parameters, because if we were going to bump up against them, and with the fine eye that Mama has, we were always looking at the high end of our range, right? And those numbers became inspiring. So we ended up finding a place that cost $8,000 more than the high end of our range. And we were able to get our mortgage payment like $4 over what we thought the all-in monthly payment would be. And part of that was because we found a place with the association fees that were lower. It was really helpful for us to have limits for what we were up to. So I really encourage that. With your goals, have numbers, limits, and parameters so that you can work together. So when you've got goals that are shared and clear, you're going to be able to make decisions and commitments together and have a sense of, side by side, we're working towards something that is beneficial for us individually and collectively. And the third area for essentially having a prosperous partnership is your money agreements. So agreements are ground rules for who does what, how do you communicate, what's okay to do or not do, when do you check with each other. And agreements are things that keep you in like the really beautiful sense of discipline and partnership. So for example, money agreements might be, I don't make a purchase or a decision or an investment over a certain dollar amount until I talk to my partner. That will reduce that uncomfortable moment where you're in some personal growth seminar and something sounds so good, but if it's $2,500, it's $500 over the maximum amount where you've got to call your spouse. So that's a good example of a simple money agreement. The other thing that I encourage people to do with money agreements is to have a frequency of the money date or the money party or the time where you're together looking at your money. I do not recommend that in partnerships you have one person who does all of the financial decision-making or systems or work. I think what that does is it actually erodes the effectiveness of the other partner. So even if one of you has, a lot of interest or a very detailed person, or you like to do it, I still think it's really important that you both have enough knowledge, you can get the passwords, you understand where things are, so that you both have the minimum capacity to be able to track your money, pay your bills, know where the investment accounts are, know how to get in touch with the CPA. Like the basic stuff you should both know how to do. So this is a little radical because sometimes there's situations where one person is deeply involved in career and it takes a tremendous amount of time and energy. The other person is more the leader of the home front and might be doing all of the financial piece. But I will tell you, I just think it's healthier for both parties to have enough information. And here's why this is also up for me, is in the last 3 years, I've lost both my younger brother, he was only 52 when he passed away, and my father, who was, God bless him, 86 when he left. But in both cases, there was financial and operational things to be done when a person is gone, and it's really helpful to have the folks that are left behind be equipped to be able to deal with it. So it's healthy for both of you to know enough about what's going on. And then I think it's really nice to have in your money agreements some kind of, like, as I said, the money date or the money party, where you look at what's coming in, what's going out, what are the trends, what are we seeing. So you need to have the systems in place, whether it's a Quicken, QuickBooks, Mint, Excel, whether it's some kind of flow statements, whether it's looking at bank balances, whether it's looking at investments and seeing performance. You want to have enough of a sense of where is it, what's flowing, how are we taking care of it. And then I also think when it comes to gathering material for taxes or making legal or investment decisions, that there needs to be some kind of sense of, I won't sign this until I really review it with the other person. And that whole sense of, like, my agreement is you and I are in this together, very powerful. And then the final piece I usually do recommend to couples, even when one is the primary income earner and the other one might be the leader of the family and be more of a work at home spouse. Even if that's the case, I think it's really helpful for every couple to have a yours, a mine, and an ours. So each person should have some money that is individually for them, and then have the joint money be there together. And one of the reasons for that is it increases autonomy and capacity, and it reduces judgment. So both parties have their own individual money, and some of it, even if it's 5% of the money that comes in every month that goes to the individual, even if it's a small percentage, goes to fun and play. And so many of you know the story of, I love going and getting spa treatments. Bill loves to buy, it's called Farkle. These are things that you put on bicycles and motorcycles, and what he spends on a mud flap converter, blah, blah thing that goes underneath the tank of the something or other is not my business. And what I spend on a 90-minute Thai massage with a scrub, none of his business. And there's something kind of delightful about that. So that's definitely a recommendation. In your money agreements, even if it's symbolic amounts, let each of you have some money for fun and play. When you have money agreements, what you've got is you've got a sense of, like, autonomy and alignment, and both those things are important. So those are the three essentials for a prosperous partnership: shared sense of values, common goals, and money agreements. What I see is that for each and every one of you, that you have the capacity to have your money serve your goals, and have your partnership's love and vision and power be financially supplied.